no, I'm on suboxone, but I'm on methadone, but, well, guess what? I'm on suboxone, but it saved my life. I'm on suboxone,
Absolutely.
but it made me a happy person. I'm on suboxone, but it gave my mom and my kid and my wife me back.
Welcome to Recovery Inspired Hope. I have got another great story of overcoming I'm about to bring you. I've got my friend Holly here, and Holly is going to tell us the story of the recovery journey, some amazing things about marriage and struggles and overcoming and how to do that and stay sober. So this is so important.
Yes.
I will be taking notes and tips from you as a newly married person. And super excited, Holly, to get to know you and get to know your story. Thank you so much for your courage and boldness and coming on here and just letting us hear everything. So, okay, Holly, so let's start with how long have you been on your recovery journey?
Since about 2018, I was on meth and whatever else you could think of. I went to prison, and that's what saved me. And being away from my daughter and my family, not being able to call home, not be able to have visits for 2.5 years, it was hard. And I just realized that's not the life I want to live. That's not the kind of life that I want my child to be like, hey, is my mom going to come home? Hey, when is she going to come home? Or is she going to be mom? Or is she going to be this other person?
Oh, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what started your addiction? Did you start before you became a mom or after?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was about 14, 15 years old. I played a lot of softball. I was catcher. My knees started going out. We found this neurologist, and he started giving me 97.5 Lortabs a month, along with Xanaflex and Flexeril and just stuff you should not be giving a child. And that's really, I didn't realize this until later on in life, but that's really when I became an addict. I was 14, 14 years old, and started doing Lortabs. It started there, and it just progressed to, Oxycontin, Roxy's, morphine, cocaine, whiskey. I was a big whiskey drinker for a long time, and just popping pills. And by the time I was 15, 16 years old, I was shooting up cocaine. And
wow,
you try to ask for help, and you're kind of getting the help, but you're not going to get help unless you want to do it. You're not going to get clean unless you want to get clean. And it took me a long time to realize that, because I tried numerous times with my mom's help, and with various family members. They tried to help me, and you can only help somebody so much until they realize that, hey, I've got to do this. I've got to be able to want to do this. Because at first it was, hey, I'm going to get clean for mom. And I would last for so long. Hey, I'm going to get clean for my daughter. And I had her, I was 28. I was 3 days shy of my 28th birthday when I had my daughter. And so I had to get clean for my daughter. And then it was, well, why do I even want to get clean? Do I really want to get clean? And it was just a struggle of getting clean, relapse, clean, relapse, clean, relapse. And when the judge sent me to prison, and I read him a letter, and he was just and it was everybody's jaw dropped in there, and he was like, that's the most honest and heartfelt letter I ever heard. And I was like, right, I'm not trying to put any blame on anybody but myself, and you're a product of your raising. And you either become that product or you become better than that, and you leave, where you were raised at. And for me, it was, I ended up having to move away for a little while to get away from everybody, lose contact with everybody, because it's really the people, places, and things for me. And if you continue the contact with the people that you're getting high with, you're going to eventually get high again.
Absolutely. And I love how you talked about, being, you have a choice to be the things that you grew up with clearly affect you, becoming a person with substance use disorder, but you have a choice. Are you going to continue down that path? I think they call that generational curses. Are you going to continue that, or are you going to be a chain breaker for your daughter? Right.
Yeah.
So,
and yeah, my dad was a bad alcoholic and a pillhead, and he sold pot and he grew pot, and my dad was in and out of our lives, and me and my brother, we just thought it was cooler if we decided to do the things that he was doing to become closer with him, which at the time is not the right decision. You're a kid and you don't know any better, and you got your mom telling you one thing, you got your dad telling you one thing. My mom and dad never really talked bad about each other to us, but what my mom was telling us was the truth. Like, hey, you don't need to be drinking. Hey, you don't need to be smoking crack with your dad. You know what I mean? Or snorting a line, or popping pills with your dad. That's not the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you need to try to do a better life. And it's just, once you spiral down into that spiral, it's hard to come out of. It's hard to dig yourself out of that hole you have dug yourself in. And it's hard, and a lot of my family members are like me, and they were meth heads and pill heads, and they have, some of them have been going to the methadone clinic for a few years now, and they're clean off of everything because of it.
Right.
And so, like you said, that one day, I'm on suboxone, but I'm on methadone, but, well, guess what? I'm on suboxone, but it saved my life. I'm on suboxone, but it made me a happy person. I'm on suboxone, but it gave my mom and my kid and my wife me back,
Yes, so, I love that.
When you said that, yeah. So it hit home when you said that. So anybody that thinks that, oh, I'm not clean just because I'm taking suboxone or methadone, you are clean. You are clean. You are cleanest you've ever been in your life. You just have to have maintenance drugs, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're not sober. You may not be completely clean, but who cares? You're not who you were 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 6 months ago. So,
well, I think
I'm an advocate for it.
I think it's so important too to understand that recovery is a whole health, whole body thing, right? It's like mind, body, spirit. So just because you are taking some medication that is prescribed by a doctor does not mean that you are any less clean than the person who is, does, the whole abstinence thing. Good for them. I'm so happy that, for those people
happy and proud
do that. You know what I mean? That's amazing. You know what I mean? Like I like to use CBD. I like to use kava. That kind of helps me. Like I use valerian root. Okay. And that's like a vitamin, right? But it's just the same, it's the same kind of stuff, right? I mean, we're just, we are not, the addiction has to do with the behavior, right? Am I out here robbing people for some valerian root? Absolutely.
I had learned a while ago, a few years back before I went to prison, a thought stopping technique. When you find yourself, and this is something that really stuck with me, because nothing of the AA or NA or none of that really stuck with me more than the thought stop process. You feel like you're starting to think about going down that road that your drug dealer lives on. Well, hey, let me take this left and take a scenic route and stop that, because once you go down that road, you're like, oh, well, dang, maybe I ought to stop and check on them, see how they're doing. Or the loneliness for me was what would keep me going back out there. So when I say it was God that made that judge, and this judge had seen me since I was 18. Holly, aren't you tired? Yeah, I'm tired. But how do you stop when you have no help, when you have not got the right help? So it happens. And now my kid is like, well, I can't do the pot thing. I just become straight retarded, and I just can't do it. So it's just suboxone, and my kid's like, Mom, you promised me you wouldn't smoke. You're right, I did. And now I'm not going to. I can't do it. And so, I mean, my kids, my wife, my mom, everybody's different.
Right. Exactly. Everybody's different. What works for one person may not work for another. I have some amazing friends in recovery who are able to, after, so many years sober, they're able to drink and do it successfully. Good for them. That's what works for them. Like you were saying, people who like smoke weed, if marijuana maintenance is your thing, if you're California sober, good for you. You're not sticking a damn needle in your arm anymore. So that's, you're not going to jail anymore. Yes. It's about,
that's what I'm saying. But I'm on suboxone.
Right.
Yeah, I'm on
Yes.
suboxone, but I don't stick a needle in my arm no more.
That's right.
I don't stick a
That's
straw
right.
up my nose. I don't stick a pipe to my mouth. So you
Yes.
have what you want, and you find your own like steps that you can take. They have this 12-step program, and if that works for somebody, kudos for you, because it don't work for me. I had to have God, and I had to have gospel music, and I had to have my Bible, and I had to get in my own zone, and I taught myself how to draw, and I'm creative and crafty now, and I had no idea I was. So you find your own thing, reading and writing, and there's totally a whole bunch of different stuff, walking, exercising, and just whatever works for somebody may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for them. I'm
Right.
proud of you all, so it's good that you're all clean. I'm proud. Everybody needs to get on the, hey, let's get clean act. Or
Right.
let's not go down the road of, hey, let's do these pills for the first time, because that first time isn't going to be your last, no matter what you think. So
Right. So tell me about, were you married before you came into recovery, or did you come into recovery and then get married?
this marriage that I'm in has been a long time coming. I met her coincidentally in the county jail in 2005. We were together until about 2009. It was she picked me or she picked her kids, and of course I wasn't a mother at the time. I didn't know about how mother instinct is, but of course she chose her kids, which she better have, because I probably wouldn't. I probably would have thought different of her now. And we got back together in 2020 after 11 years of separation. After I got clean, and she was bad on heroin, and after she got clean, she had her own struggles. So we both, we got clean, and we was able to get back together, thank God. And we've been married for about 1.5 years. And don't get me wrong, it's hard because she's been cleaner longer than I have. So I keep telling her, I'm like, you've had longer to be able to cope with these things than I have, and I might struggle and I might get angry some days, and it's not because I don't love you and I don't love my kids or I don't love myself. It's just I haven't got to that maturity point of being able to deal with a lot of the stuff that she may have, because she's got about 5 years on me, 5 or 6 years to clean on me, whereas I've only got since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And so the marriage aspect of it is that you've got to have communication, like any marriage. Doesn't matter if you're sober or not. Getting high together is not the thing. If you did get high and you get clean together, I give you props, because it's hard. It's hard to you be sober and the other person be getting high. And like her thing is pot. And that's how her CBD or whatever the terms, scientific terms are nowadays. I'm just like, it's just pot. To me, it's just pot. And she does it, and it keeps her clean and sober, and whereas me is I do the suboxone, and there's a meet in the middle thing. You don't give 50-50 and she gives 50-50. It's we both give 100.
Yes.
There's communication, and you've got to have each other's back all the time. And although she may not like the fact that I'm on suboxone, she knows that's what's keeping me clean. Absolutely. She may not like when I was on methadone, but it was what was keeping me clean. I'm not drinking, I'm not shooting or smoking coke or snorting it, whatever. So it's like, it's hard to answer that question because she's babysitting right now. So it's hard for her not to be here and her answer that question with me, because it's a struggle every day. Marriage isn't perfect, and anybody that thinks it is perfect, you're wrong. Every day is a new day, and some days you might have arguments over something dumb, or it may be something major. But in order to be married to somebody, you've got to be able to communicate with them, be able to talk to them about it, and that talk not start another argument, but that talk solve your problem. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and it's so much so. My husband has I'll have 7 years in July, and my husband will have he just got 6 years sober in March. And so we're newly married. We got married in October, and man, we are, thank you. It is not easy, and no. I find that trying to keep each other's recovery on the forefront, because like sometimes we get in like arguments and I want to just like take it, I want to take it to another level,
Right.
And it's like I have to remember, like it's like we have to put each other's recovery in front of our, like, my selfish self-centeredness, where I want to be right and I want to drive that point home, like, and keep going.
Yep.
And I have to be like, okay, Jamie, like, just stop, because you can't like push that person to like an unhealthy level of like, mental health. You be trying to push.
Right.
And
then I stop and I'm like, calm down, and even though I'm so angry and I want to drive my point home, I stop and I realize if I'm pushing too hard and I can see it in her face, calm down. There's no, okay. And by the time I've done pushed it and it's in her face, she's like, oh, what are you all calm for now? Well, because I realize that this is stupid. We should not be fighting over this. That's why I want us both to be able to talk about it and not be screaming at each other. And we got kids, and I tell them all the time, like, especially when the kids go to argue, I'm like, have you ever seen me and your mom fight? And they're like, no. And I say, so then you shouldn't be acting like that. Have you ever seen me hit your mom? They're like, no. I was like, that's because we don't do that. We're trying to set an example, because you're the future of this generation. We have to be able to provide and teach you how to become an adult and how to handle situations. And if we're not doing that, we're not doing our job. And I may lecture, and I'm more the disciplinary, but it's more of, you're going to get on the wall. I tend not to spank unless they get caught dancing in the road and the neighbors call the law. Then I might spank their butt. That's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And that did happen on my first day of work one time. It did happen. So I had to come home and spank their butt, but it's okay. And then it's not only that, but we're a blended family. So when we were separated, we both ended up getting pregnant about 1.5 years after we were separated. So we both have 9-year-old girls.
Wow.
And her daughter is 4 months older than my daughter. So it's blended. And, in my head, I was always like, she's never coming back. So I never told my daughter about her. So I think my daughter's angry at me about not telling her. And I can understand that. And whereas her daughter has known about me the whole time. And I'm like, well, you didn't tell me nothing about your coming back, and I throw that in her face and I regret it. And it is what it is. And we married 2 years in January, but really we've been together since 2005. So That's a long time. 20 years of love, and we have not stopped loving each other. That's that real love type stuff right there. When you find that, you don't get rid of it.
Absolutely. And one thing that, I've been hearing a lot in me and my husband's own like marriage stuff from our, mentors, our spiritual advisors, our counselors, like all that, you know what I mean? Like our pastors, like they've been like, look, whatever it is, like, don't quit. You know what I mean? You just don't quit. You just keep going. And that's just like, in our recovery, we are persevering. We are not quitting. There is no option. Yes. It's like for us, our recovery, to quit is to die. So like in our
exactly.
marriage,
That's what I was going to say. It's life or death.
Yes.
And I was like, I choose life.
Yes. I love it. Oh my goodness. I love that.
There's a Bible scripture is do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That's Romans 12:21. I try to feed that into my life every day, because some people have it better than us, and some people have it worse. Some people have it way worse. And this economy and everything that's going on in the world today, and it's like we need to have each other's backs. In marriage, in life, with our neighbors. I was brought up with, if your neighbor asks for help, you go help them, because 9 times out of 10. You're going to need their help one day.
Right.
And so that's just how I was raised, just like good values. And I see the way the world is today, and it worries me. And that's why I try to instill the yes ma'am and no ma'am in my kids, and they respect your elders. And, if an old lady comes in the room, you get up and you let them sit down type thing. And it's not just, and in the recovery, I don't lie to my kids. My kids know. My kids know that I was sick, and it's an addiction, and that I was on drugs, and I've always promised her I'd never lie to you and I'd never leave you. So she believes that, and she better, because both of them better. And when you have a blended family and you're trying to prove to the one child that you've never been in her life, but you know deep down that you should have always been in her life because mom was always together and was always going to be together. And you're trying to prove to them that you love them just as much as you love the child you gave birth to.
Right.
And some days it's easier than others. Don't get me wrong. And they test me. Both of them do. And the one that I didn't give birth to, she tests me. She tries to see how much she can get away with and how much I'm gonna go through with the punishment, the repercussions, because every action has a consequence. Just, you know what I mean? Like everything you do in life has a consequence. You give somebody a hug, the consequence of that is they either enjoy that hug or they're just like, oh, back up. Like everything in your life that you do. And it's cool because where I got this job at, it's not my dream job. My dream job I've had to put on hold because our car breaking down as soon as we moved here, because in January we had a house fire and lost everything. So we're literally having to start over. You know what I mean? Like, I
know, and you still stayed sober through it. That's amazing.
Yes. And the first 4 days I cried like a baby, and I just sobbed because I was like, my kids weren't home at the time, thank God, and I had to go home. I had to go to my mom and my sister's house and tell them that we don't have a home to go to now. And my daughter, she was just like, well, don't cry, Mom, because everything's gonna be okay. Everything's replaceable. This is a 9-year-old little girl telling me this.
Oh.
So the fact that these 9-year-old little girls were, they're in shock, but they realized that none of us died. The cat made it out, and everything else is replaceable. Maybe pictures that we've had through our years and our parents had, maybe they're not replaceable, but our lives are not replaceable. So the fact that we made it, and then, it was a week before our official wedding day. So we lost everything. The wedding dress, the wedding suit, their dresses, everything. We still had the wedding a week later, we still had the wedding. I got bronchitis for a whole month after that, so I couldn't work. And it was just like one thing after another. And the only thing I could do was listen to my praise music. Mm-hmm. And it got me through. And I'm like, when I did go back to work, I'd be listening and I would start sobbing. I'd have to pull up on the side of the road and I'd start crying. And all I could do was just thank God that we're all here. It might be rough right now, and we might be having to live in my sister's son's bedroom and not have any room, but we're making it. It might not be how we want to make it. And I did get my business license and my LLC for lawn maintenance and stuff like that, and then had to put it on hold when I got here, and then had to go make $15 to $20 an hour to $12 an hour washing dishes at a chicken joint. But guess what? That ain't going to be long. Right. And I'm still sober, and I'm still doing it. And there are a couple people up there at my job that got the same background as I do, have been where I am. We're drug addicts and was down at the lowest spots. And now look, they're managers of this chicken joint, and they're clean and they're sober, and we're living life to the fullest, where they're like, how you doing today? Well, I'm living my best life because I'm alive. I woke up today and I thank God for that. And I just try to pay it forward when I can, because you never know what's going on, and somebody's mama could have died and they be putting on a smiling face, but you don't know what anybody that you don't know is going through in life. You know what I mean? Like, and we pulled through, we persevered, and we may not have furniture in our house, but we got beds to sleep in, and we got a roof over our head, and electricity and water and food, and who cares about the rest, because God will provide for me.
Absolutely. And sometimes God has to redirect you, kind of move you, because you have purpose. You know what I mean? You're talking about, other people in recovery working, where you work. It's like you could be pouring into them something that God needs to, for you to pour into them. So exactly. We never know the assignment that we're walking into. Yep. I surely
That's right.
I didn't know that when I started, making reels on Facebook, that it was going to blow up and I was going to be able to help so many people. I was just, talking, just sharing my experience. Nothing, had no idea that this was going to turn into what it did. So I truly believe that God has huge plans for you.
It's amazing.
Yes, I'm so proud of you.
And I thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you. I'm proud of you, because it's hard to get sober. Mm-hmm. It is hard to get sober and not have support, the correct support. Some people are like, oh, I got your back, but that's all they got. That's all they say is they got your back. They don't really actually have your best interest at heart. And then like you got them people that they see you're doing good and you're sober, and they're like, oh, you want this line? No, devil, get behind me, because I got better things to do in my life. And because that's how it happens when you're doing really good and the devil's trying to knock you down, and you just, I swear God has lifted a veil over my eyes and he opened it up, and I can see what's going on now, you know, what I put my family through, what I put myself through, what I put my daughter through. I regret every bit of it, but I'm thankful for the time that I've been able to get clean and show my daughter, like, hey, you can do something with your life. You can be somewhere where I was and then come out on top, or just come out in the middle. Who cares about, as long as I'm not back down there below the line of an addict. I'm a survivor of an addict. Yes. I'm hashtag married life with kids, a survivor. You know, I'm a survivor. I'm an addiction survivor. Yes. You know, I'm a cancer survivor. I'm this survivor. I'm an addiction survivor. And I think every one of us are. And I appreciate everything that you do for us. Like, you are not sugarcoating any of it. Like the AA or the NA or all of them. Like, you're telling real stories. Like, yeah, you might be on suboxone, but are you putting a needle in your arm? Or are you putting your mom through, is my kid alive? Or your kids, they're not going, well, where's my mom at? No, because mom's on suboxone, but she's at home.
That's right.
You know, that's how I look at it. Like, you have to. So
absolutely. Well, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing everything. Is there anything that you would like to say to anybody, like anybody who maybe is struggling out there, a word of encouragement or a word of advice?
Just know that you can do this. There is relief at the end of that tunnel. All you gotta do is ask. Don't be scared. Don't be frightened or ashamed, because all the time I tell people my story, and then I have some people that are like, why are you telling that story? Aren't you scared? No, I'm proud of it. It's made me who I am today. And if we didn't have them struggles, we wouldn't be who we are today. So don't be scared. They have anonymous tip lines you can call, and they'll give you a number to call. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid that somebody's going to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to talk to you no more. Good, then they didn't need to be in your life to begin with. You know, the people that don't deserve to be in your life, God will push them away and put the people that need to be in your life to help you through this struggle in there. Because, I mean, look at us.
Right.
Look at where we are. We might not be where we want to be right now, but we're getting there. Absolutely. I'm going to bust my butt till I do get there. And show my kids and my family that, yeah, I might have been on meth and smoking meth and doing whatever. But guess what? I ain't now. I'm doing big things compared to where I was. And it's all because of suboxone and my mentality and God.
Yes.
And my family. Let me throw my family in before they get mad. It's my family too. Don't get me wrong. My wife, she's a saint to me, and my mom. They're all great. You know, it's family support that helps you a lot.
Awesome. So, thank you so much. Holly, you are incredible, remarkable. You're an amazing storyteller. I really thoroughly enjoyed this interview. Like, I've really been blessed by it. My spirit's been blessed by it. So you are truly anointed. Truly anointed, okay? Well, thank you so much, you guys. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie